outside. Saint Archangel Michael with his big wings holding a sword where the devil does his business. And arrows outside. Old Testament. Burmese teak, the wooden doors, the rose portals. And here. They really don't like for buses to stop here, so or else I let you get out there and take photos, but we can't stop it. We're not allowed. There's a public bus stop here. Got hospitals all that stuff. So please forgive us. All right, we're coming up on Columbia University here. We'll be moving out of Blumendal and bringing candy yams. You know, the cooking of the South came up. And this guy here, Charles Penn Fried Chicken, Harlem's Fine. And it has it all: banana pudding, sweet potato pie, string beans, collard greens, lima beans, coleslaw, yams, black-eyed peas, baked mac and cheese. That's soul food baked seafood. Italian immigrants first lived in that neighborhood over there, and it was one of the first little Italies. Then it became known as Spanish Harlem when all the Puerto Rican folks started moving in. And don't let this main drag fool you with all the stores and the buses and the trucks and the hustle and the bustle and the Metro North Railroad up there. You see the train tracks. You go in there, you look down the block there on the right. All the trees, you got some beautiful parks. Marcus Garvey Park is in there. And the park is the oldest fire lookout in New York City. You know, before they had alarm boxes, they had towers with bells in it. And somebody would ring the bell if there was a fire. Look out, there's a fire. Brownstone townhouse, right? Like buildings like this. These are your brownstone townhouses. You're painted to look like a different material or something. You know, these are 19th century iron oxide, fiery hardened, heat preserving building blocks with the stoop in front. The stoop. Hey, look down the block here on the left. All that. Into the Bronx, into Yankee Land.
Where's the next one?
Oh, last year during the World Series when Aaron Judge dropped that ball, I laughed. And I like Aaron, Long Island Sound. And look to the right, you'll see the Metro North Railroad going out to Connecticut. And look back and wave goodbye to Hollywood. Say goodbye to Manhattan, because we're not there anymore. Right now we're in the Bronx. And you know the Bronx is the only one of the 5 boroughs that's attached to the mainland. New York City is basically a bunch of islands. You know, we're Manhattan Island, Staten Island, Long Island with Brooklyn and Queens. You got Ellis Island, Rikers Island, Ward's Island, Liberty Island, Governor's Island, Randall's Island. We're islands. We're a bunch of islands. We're named after James, the Duke of York. You know, the English colonist got here in 1664 and says, I claim to Amsterdam for Britain. We're now called New York. We said, all right. Thanks. 4 million people live here, but in some areas of the Bronx, it's 39,000 per square mile, so there's a lot of congestion here. But you have the Major Deegan, he's from World War I. He was Army Corps of Engineers. Major Deegan. And, were you from Canada, Blue Jays? Well, we can keep going about 340 miles to get to Montreal. We can keep going straight if you want.
Montreal's not Canada.
It's the first time I heard that one.
Come back to Suffolk, Oregon.
There you go.
What is it? What is it? Central.
But there it is, Yankee Stadium. Yankees are an American League team. Blue Jays are an American League team. The Mets are a National League team. There are 2 leagues in American baseball, Major League Baseball. The Yankees are American League. The stadium here is from 2009. There was another one before that that stood across the street where we're going now. Vansdam Park, right in that area, would be where the old Yankee Stadium was. In fact, there's a piece of the wall there. And there's Yankee Stadium. They called the original Yankee Stadium the house that Ruth built. Babe Ruth was a very important baseball player as far as the history of baseball is concerned. Even if you don't follow baseball, you probably heard of Babe Ruth, right? George Herman Ruth. He was like the very colorful character. They credited him with bringing people back to the game. You see. Now you folks, you have the World Cup. A lot of you folks do the World Cup. That takes 4 years. And through the process of elimination, two best 10.5 miles, and it is hard as a rock, it comes at you over 100 miles an hour. You better know what you're doing. You better know what you're doing when that happens. So, and made it in here, but he was the richest ball player. And an interviewer asked him, "So, babe, tell me, how does it feel to know the
Aquí está el Yankee Stadium en el Bronx. Ahí tenemos el estadio de los Yankees. Y aquí están jugando un montón de niños al fútbol. En mitad del Bronx. Bueno, pues ahí tenemos el estadio de los Yankees al fondo. Aquí el reciclaje. Sacaron dinero vendiendo las...
I think he only put out one CD because he tragically died very young. His name was Christopher Rales, otherwise known, his stage name, his performing name, Big Punisher or Big Pun was his name. And then, see, to get you folks work up an appetite. All right, here we are at the Cancun Bodega right there. Buy yourself a snack. If it's too crowded, up on the next block on the left, you see that red awning, you got the yellow awning, the red awning. Right after that, you see it says deli. You can go there at Christmas.
Ahí pasa el tren por lo alto, típico de Nueva York. Christopher Rales, el primer latino en conseguir un platino con hip hop. Sorprenderme que pase un tren a la altura del tercer piso. Bueno, pues aquí estamos delante del mural a Christopher Ríos, que fue el primer latino en... Christopher Ríos, que fue el primer latino en conseguir un platinum con el hip hop. Pues aquí está este tren aéreo que va por encima y por debajo pues van cruzando los coches y tal. Curioso, esto es típico de Nueva York. Aquí un barrio del Bronx. De incendios en un barrio pobre del Bronx. Aquí el 56% de la población es hispana.
Some people say that particular character was actually a variation on the movie, on the detective in the movie Diabolique, French film, Diabolique. But he's playing, Columbo was kind of this laid-back, seemingly not too bright detective. He but he was a genius when it came to solving crime. The first part of the show, you see the murder being committed, and the rest of it, Mark Twain gave us Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer. If you like movies, then you're probably familiar with the director Stanley Kubrick and George A. Romero, both of them from the Bronx. And Raging Bull, Jake LaMotta, the Bronx Bull, of course, the Bronx Bull from the Bronx. So a lot of big names from here. Tracy Morgan, comedian Tracy Morgan, rapper Cardi B. Let me just check in and see how's everybody's doing so far, okay? Everybody all right? Everybody good? Excellent. also have the major television networks in New York City, affiliates across the country. NBC, National Broadcast Corporation, ABC, American Broadcast Company, and you have CBS, Columbia Broadcast System. These are American television networks, broadcast networks. Like, let's say in New York, ABC is Channel 7. In Philadelphia, it might be Channel 3. In California, it might be Channel 10. You don't know. So you have major television studios here. You know, up to 5 boroughs, you have some smaller, you know, cable news network stations. Like here, News 12 on the right. From 1996. News 12 is a local cable television station, which is only seen in the Bronx. Like me and Queen after people. A little history, you know? Like the Revolutionary War. Greenwich Village in Manhattan, there are streets called McDougal, Nelson, Sullivan. Those are all Revolutionary War generals. So when you're in Lower Manhattan, along with the brown and historic districts and the green regular New York City streets, you have black signs. When you're in Lower Manhattan, all the way to Southern District, you'll see the street names are on black signs. That means that those streets were named before the Revolutionary War. And the Whitestone area right across the Whitestone Bridge here, Whitestone, Queens on Long Island is an old Dutch village, and one of the 6 distributing places. Sorry to disappoint you. Oh, where's the golf guy? We got a golf course here. It used to be owned by Trump. It used to be the Trump Links. Paid $125 million to build a golf course with the everyday golfers going golf at a country club setting. And the golf course was designed to take a lunch break. Alright? So yes, there is a full lunch break coming up. The bodega stop was just a place to get water or a snack and give you a little taste of the local flavor.
Ya estamos entrando en el puente.
Sorry folks, it looks like it's a little hazed out. It's kind of a humid day today. So, but still, that's Manhattan Island there.
Mira, ahí está saliendo un avión.
If we go over the Kosciuszko Bridge, there's a plane taking off from LaGuardia Airport. Some of you might have landed there.
Y el Hudson.
I don't know, your domestic flights, you probably landed at LaGuardia because those are most old flights. But I would say a lot of you landed at JFK Airport, the largest international airport in the Northeast. Now right down here, you'll notice you see boats and docks and things. That's Malba. That's known as the Hamptons of Queens, or the Hamptons of New York. This is that neighborhood where there are no grocery stores, no bodegas. That's an exclusive neighborhood. Average cost of a house down there is $3.5 million. It started off in 1908 with 10 houses, and then they had 100 by World War II. Now there's over 400 houses there. It's named after the founders of Malba, Maycock Hawley, and some of them are really nice houses. Very expensive.
Some of them, all of them.
That's where, who asked me about the mob? That's where Tommy Lufinger Lucchese used to live there. And he's buried in Calvary Cemetery. He was the head of the 20th Century Gateway. He's still there. You're still there. But the whole area is called Queens.
Stay in America.
It's like Brooklyn. Brooklyn used to be 5 or 6 separate counties, which all combined to be Brooklyn, but those counties are still there. Right? In Brooklyn, if I lived in Amersfoort, you would still address in Brooklyn, New York Post. Actually, you see that on the stands. The New York Post is the longest running newspaper in the country. Started in 1801 under Alexander Hamilton. City Field, City Field is where Shea Stadium used to be. Alright, here's the deal. The Mets came about in 1962. Because I mentioned before that there was American League and National League. New York had 3 teams. One American League team, the New York Yankees, and 2 National League teams, the New York Giants and the Brooklyn Dodgers. And they moved out to California in 1957 to become the San Francisco Giants and the Los Angeles Dodgers. The New York, and so there was no National League baseball in New York for 5 years, until the New York Mets came about in 1962. Now, the insignia on their hat, the hat is actually blue with an orange insignia. It's the actual original hat. And then Shea Stadium was built, and they moved here to Queens in 1964, where they stayed until 2008, when Citi Field opened in 2009, the same time as the new Yankee Stadium, host concerts. I'm not sure who played this year, but last year you had Green Day, Blink-182, and
Esa estructura sale en Men in Black. Aquí estamos en Queens,
Alrighty then.
subiendo un avión.
What I want you all to do, I want to get this shot. So I want all the tall people in the back. Some of you can even stand up on here if you like. They're not so tall in the front. This way, you know.
Pues aquí hay unas cuantas bonitas flores. Y ahí está el estadio de los Mets.
Ouais, ce qui est bien, c'est que du coup, il y a de plus en plus de place dans ce Lyonnais parce que avant, il y avait des personnes.
Hay un bonito parque aquí al lado del estadio. Pues aquí está el estadio de los Mets. Están arreglando los jardincitos. Los aviones despegan uno detrás de otro. Aquí hay más jardines. Hi. Aquí está el Queens Museum, cerca de esta bola del mundo. Bueno, pues ahí se subieron los de Men in Black. In Black.
The traffic folks, you know, when cars were first being churned out by Oldsmobile and Henry Ford, you know, Oldsmobile came up with the assembly
Este es
line
el
for automobiles.
aeropuerto de la
Ford
Guardia.
perfected it. And there are 18,000 cars in America. Half of them were in New York. And I still think half the cars in America are in New York. That's what I'm going to add to this word.
Bueno,
How many
hasta
car
los
owners
topes,
are there?
pero nos estamos moviendo.
Approximately 1.4 million households in New York City own a car, representing 45% of the city's total household.
Autopistas para
It
entrar
says up here 1.4 million
en el aeropuerto.
households.
Bueno, pues aquí tráfico muy intenso, pero nos estamos moviendo.
Mancano 2 o 3 posti. Ci sta rientro. Una così.
Ahora estamos viendo un avión que va a aterrizar y va a pasar por encima de nosotros. Mira, 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 mira que pasa por encima, que pasa por encima y...
Emily lived in Malva. Here it is. You have Sonny right Napolitano, the character played by Alvis, a Brooklyn-born actor too. He's one of those actors that you see him, you go, oh yeah, that guy. He's one of those oh yeah, that guy actors. He played Gazzo, the loan shark in Rocky. He was the taxi cab manager, beginning of Taxi Driver. He made a splatter flick back in the 70s or 80s called Maniac. So Chichi, he was one of Michael Corleone's bodyguards in The Godfather, one of those character actor guys. And Ann Moore is buried here. Ann Moore was the first immigrant to be processed through Ellis Island on January 1st, 1892. And this is the Kosciuszko Bridge, which is named after Thaddeus Kosciuszko, who was a Polish immigrant, actually, and became a general during the Revolutionary War, fought alongside George Washington. It was originally called the Meeker Avenue Bridge, but it was renamed the Kosciuszko Bridge after a Polish historical figure by Mayor LaGuardia, who I mentioned. And this was when, after Poland was invaded and on the onset of World War II, he said, "I am confident that Poland will live again. Any land that breeds such lovers of freedom can never be enslaved. The Polish people may be captive, but the flaming spirit of Polish liberty will never be destroyed." And you'll see the plaque for Thaddeus Kosciuszko on the right-hand side, skyline there. There is the Empire State, of course. 365,000 tons of Art Deco real estate. That translates into 760 million pounds. That's a 760 million pound building there. Over 10 million, Missouri, the Show Me State building. It was in Wisconsin, the Dairy State building. It was in New Hampshire, the Gem State building. Oh no, the Granite State building. New Hampshire's the Granite Sea. Canarsie, Brooklyn.
Ahí se ve todo el skyline
I mean, you couldn't breathe in that.
Manhattan.
But since the Clean Water Acts were introduced back in the 80s, they, weren't allowed to dump all their waste in the water anymore, so it's cleared up a lot. But it was really bad for a while. Really, really bad for a while. But now, it's good now. Takes us right into Brooklyn. Oh, those domes there, people always ask me, what are those big domes? We have salt and sand deposit here, some places around the world, if you get a few flurries, the whole city closes. They paint up my trucks.
Hasta
So they came down and
Brooklyn.
painted up the trucks. As you can see there. The private personal.
Otro avión, qué bien.
You want to have a Hawaiian style pizza, that's fine. Just don't eat it in front of me. That's all. There you go. Then you get yourself hey, I gotta steer you to the right place.
Se han metido por un polígono
Where to go. Right, I'm from New York. We love telling people where to go. Alright? So I gotta tell you where to go.
It's just the truth.
Alright, we're gonna be in Wyckoff Avenue in just a moment, folks. Just a moment. We're gonna be there. And we will be back on the bus at 1:20. 1:20. Please try and be back by 1:20. We'll see where Michael is going to park the bus, so we'll know where to go back. There used to be artwork on these walls over here, but they were painted over. I don't know. Maybe they're going to put up new stuff. I don't know. I do not know. Oh, you'll have some nice artwork coming up here on the left and right here. Look to the left. Alright, you got some Brooklyn Collective stuff here. There's some nice stuff on your left, on the right as well. Look at that, with the deer and the roses on the wall. That's very nice. You'll see a lot of that kind of stuff over on Jefferson Avenue, which was one block up Wyckoff Avenue. But Flushing Avenue we'll be stopping on. This is one of the...
Hay un graffiti de la Estatua de la Libertad. Bueno, ya grafitis un poco más feos. Por aquí hay un montón de camionetas de comida. Bueno, pues aquí creo que estamos en el Bronx. Un montón de grafitis en esta calle. Y seguimos viendo grafitis. La verdad que se lo pasan chachi. Hay grafitis por todos sitios. Bueno, pues esto también es Nueva York, una parte pobre. O sea, aquí hay un montón de cables por mitad de la acera, con lo cual igual están enganchados ilegalmente, no me sorprendería. Bueno, otro avión por ahí. Bueno, pues esto también es Nueva York. La parte de los pobres. Yo tomo un café y he descargado Gourmet Deli.
I was just wondering if you're working. You gonna get one?
Aquí hay más grafitis. Bueno, y ahora vuelvo por otra calle. El Bronx. Dando vueltitas por el Bronx. Palomo. El Bronx. Chinese food. También aquí hay comida china. Aquí tienen su entradita con sus elefantes. Lo tienen bonito. Otros están un poquito más corriente, con su aire acondicionado arriba. Una tienda. Bueno, nos vamos a girar aquí. Por si acaso es por aquí. Aquí hay unas casitas bastante majas. La parte de abajo es de ladrillo. Y adelante pues tienen ahí, bueno, tienen su pequeña verja para aparcar el coche, lo cual es un detalle. Este ha puesto una verja más grande. Bueno, no está mal. Más escaleras de incendios.
On the right, look at the wall on the right.
Spero di non essere nel caso di quello che volevo vedere.
Quale?
Era il bambino Hulk. Ma non l'ho visto in giro.
Yeah. Some real talent out there.
In queste dietro.
Bueno, estamos dando la vuelta para volver por donde hemos venido. Y por aquí siguen los grafitis.
Ma perché questo di nuovo rincacciato qua? Ma perché dovrei andare dritto?
Más grafitis.
Here? How about this?
Brooklyn.
The nation's
Porque
leading
antes he
great
dicho
decoration.
el Bronx, en realidad era Brooklyn.
Underneath the Manhattan Bridge was a storehouse where they stored Haagen-Dazs ice cream. Haagen-Dazs wasn't invented in Sweden or the Swiss Alps. It was invented in the Bronx. Haagen-Dazs is a nonsensical name. It's completely made up. It doesn't mean anything. 500,000 cannabis, 500,001. Now, Bell.
Guarda, queste sono quelle del film.
You non-fussy eaters, there's always Taco Bell, and it's called Taco Bell because a guy named Glenn Bell came up with the idea for a fast food taco joint. So there you go. And Broadway, this street here, you know, Manhattan and Brooklyn, they share names. Broadway's going homeless to some
La morena e la
primarily Jewish. And my wife comes from a Jewish family you would call Reform Jew. Reform means that, you know, they're Jewish and they celebrate Hillel, they bar mitzvah their sons. My sister-in-law built idol bound. And it's very strict. These are Satmar women here. You'll notice that woman's wearing a wig. Because when Satmar women get married, or for the most part, they shave their heads. That's a sign of modesty. That's why the Jewish men, I think that's why the Jewish men dress the way they do. Just plain black and white because it's a sign of modesty. They wear the yarmulke on top of their head because it's disrespectful in their faith to show the top of their heads to God. So they wear a yarmulke on their heads. Sometimes you'll see the Jewish men wearing these round fur hats. They're called stremels. And it used to be only the elite Jewish men would have that because they could pay for it, and it's double reverence to God because you're covering your head twice. All that is new is forbidden is the philosophy. philosophy. So you know a Satmar Jew on the street when you see them, when they're on the phone, it is a flip phone. It's not a smartphone. There's no internet, there's no movies, there's no fooling around, there's no games, no nothing. It's strictly for...
Pues este es el barrio
It's
judío,
also my eye
Williamsburg.
specialist told me,
A ver si
I don't know,
grabó.
he says he thinks that also with Satmar women, when they bathe, their bodies have to be completely submerged in a tub of water when they bathe. I don't know why that is. But, you know, very conservative dress, as you can see. The dress goes down below the knees. Even when they sit at a tent there, they could wear a wig and then wear a covering. That lady's a Satmar, she has a wig on. See the man here? You see the payas on the side? That's the curl on the side, the payas. That's an identifying
Todos
mark.
con niños, paseando con los
And I was
niños.
also told that that God forbids you shave that part of your head. Why? Because God forbids you. God commands it, you do what God commands. That's it. That's why, let's say this was sundown, right? Let's say this was sundown. Let me see what. All right, sunset's at 8:04. If this were Friday, this would be completely shut down because Friday sundown to Saturday sundown is a religious observance. It's called the Seder or the Sabbath. They'll have to drive cars, turn off light switches, turn on light switches, ovens, any kind of gadget they're not allowed to operate. You see, when I lived what was known as the kitchen goy, it's an actual term, kitchen goy. Goy is a non-Jew. That's Yiddish for a non-Jew. So I was the kitchen goy. I would come home and all the wives would be waiting for me to come home and turn their ovens on. I swear, I'm not lying to you. Can you come in and turn my oven? Come back in 45 minutes? All right, I'll see you later. Can you turn that light on, turn this off, turn off that light? I would be turning the lights on. You see the white strands coming out of the side? That's called a talus. That's a prayer shawl that they wear. If it was a white robe, that is called a kaitel. And that's more on the high holy days. Are they kidding with this?
Y estamos en verano, ¿eh?
Did he really try and make this turn?
En su gabardina en pleno agosto, ¿eh? Ahí se cruza un camión.
Oh man. All right, we gotta take a little detour off the...
Debajo del gorro lleva el eso. Y con el abrigo, tú. En agosto, 6 de agosto y con abrigo. Otro que va con su abrigo.
Argument was just because they can't use here, the subways, the...
It's Uncle Wally's house.
Un montón de madres paseando con los niños.
Oh yeah, Fiocco. So Zia, his last name is Fiocco. What's her maiden?
Salimos en Williamsburg, barrio judío de Nueva York.
You having fun? You having a good time? Now, let's just wait here, but we're gonna make it there. We're gonna get there shortly.
Brooklyn Navy
You
Land.
go to the Statue of Liberty, Castle
Puerto de
Clifton, that's
Brooklyn.
kind of a remodel of the old fortress that stood there at the
Brooklyn-
end of a pier.
Brooklyn
Because Battery
Navy
Park
Yard.
was all built on landfill. You know, and that original old fortress, Andrew Jackson, 12,000 of them. The ones that are still working, though, they work on good old-fashioned physics, gravitational pull, and they're computerized. When they get halfway empty, they fill up again automatically. So don't let any of those shysters down there sell you a ticket to ride the Staten Island ferry, because they are down.
Puente de Brooklyn.